Do you know that feeling how time just drags on and on and on? Yet sometimes it just seems to fly by? Well, if you're playing a game or running a model, it might not all be in your head. Hello, welcome to Model Life, a channel where I'm taking a sideways look at the world of modelling the environment. I'm Dr. Chris Skinner, aka Flood Skinner, a scientist, hydrologist, environmental modeller and a science communicator. In this video I'm going to be talking about time and how it might not pass the way in models and video games in quite the same way it does in the real world. Time is very important to creating virtual worlds. We often refer to these worlds as being 1, 2 or 3D, referring to the spatial dimensions we as humans comprehend, that ability to move forward or back, left or right, up or down, and combinations within that space. However, there is another dimension that we move in, and that's time. Maybe we never include it as we take it for granted and we have no control over how we traverse this extra dimension. So conveniently glossing over relativity and quantum physics, which I'm not read up on and I don't really understand enough to include in this video, our everyday experience of time is that we travel forward in it at a linear rate. We can't speed it up or slow it down, we can't pause it, and we can't travel backwards along it. Now let's go back. I said in our everyday experience of time, but actually how we experience time itself is not linear at all. If you're doing something tedious and boring, say watching a video about how time works in environmental models, on the flip side, if you're doing something fun, like constructing a comprehensive and full multimodal public transport network in a city builder game,
time will fly by incredibly fast and hours will have passed before you even realise you haven't
been to the toilet all afternoon and you've not eaten your lunch and your coffee has gone cold. The 19th century philosopher Henri Bergson described time as having two forms. The first is objective time, which is the real passing of the seconds, minutes and hours. And the second is la durée, or lived time. It is this lived time that we experience as this slowing down and speeding up, whilst the objective time marches on steadily and relentlessly towards our graves. And life is punctuated with this fast and slow lived time. Often we have long periods of boredom and tedium interspersed with short explosions of excitement and drama. And this influences how we make models and games. Many models and games will have an internal clock or a counter that progresses an objective time linearly. In the case of models, we would call the smallest unit of this time the time step. For example, a second, or a minute, or an hour. The model will perform all its functions and resolve all the equations it needs to for that time step before progressing on to the next. Processes that occur in a time frame smaller than the time step are averaged out to the time step. So even though, much like how a watched kettle never boils, a watched model never resolves, it's only us, the operators, who experience the la durée, the lived time, with the models themselves rigidly adhering to the objective time. Well, yes they do, but we are able to manipulate the objective time in a way similar to lived time, but in the opposite direction. Some of the things we might want to model, for example how rivers change and move, occur over long time periods, but the processes that cause those changes can often be fast and episodic. A river might be stable and unchanged for a century or more, only for it to be totally altered by a storm that leads to a flood, which might happen over just a matter of hours. When that flood is happening, we need to capture those processes in detail, using a small time step, like a second. But to simulate those time periods in between, where very little happens, with a small time step like that, it's just too much detail and it's a huge waste of time and processing power. So we can set the model to speed itself up, averaging those processes over bigger time steps when little is happening, and this makes it faster without losing out on those important details. It's a numerical la durée. Video games use the manipulation of objective time to create an illusion of lived time as well. Like models, games create virtual worlds but furnish them with arts, graphics and narratives to immerse us within them. Time passes using a game clock with a set time step, in the same way as models. But as their primary purpose is to entertain us, games cannot afford to be boring. So much of life's tedium needs to be glossed over or ignored. Levels move us between these periods of explosive drama, sometimes via a cutscene, but they conveniently progress us timelessly through those boring periods of travelling and eating or sleeping. Now I spend a lot of time playing Football Manager, a game my wife describes as, "It's just answering emails." In the game you manage a football team, taking control of not just matches, but the training, the transfers, and talking to the press. And yes, answering your email. It features multiple lageries. Outside of the match, time progresses rapidly, pausing only when there are details that the player needs to address. It allows days to go by in the matter of minutes. During matches, you're not required to watch a full 90-minute game. In a similar way to a river model, it speeds up the action for the player when very little happens, but it slows it down during highlights the player might want to engage with. For sports simulation games where you control the athletes themselves, for example the FIFA series of football games, the gameplay creates a lagerie that provides the player the sense or the feel of a full 90-minute match, but in the fraction of a time. These games are sacrificing their realism in terms of being accurate simulations of real-world equivalents for the purposes of entertainment. In this sense, the games are wrong, but they are useful. Models and games are similar in that they do not need to be bound by the linear passing of objective time. They can create their own versions of lived time in order to increase their function, whether that is providing information to a decision maker or providing a means of entertainment and escape to a player. If you've enjoyed this video, or even if you didn't, please hit that like button, and whilst you're down there, make sure you hit the subscribe button to the channel as well. For now, stay dry out there.